What if the very thing most men fear, getting older, is actually what makes you more attractive? Not weaker, not less desirable, but more respected, more grounded, more unforgettable. Because here's the truth most men don't realize. Women are not only attracted to youth, they are drawn to something far more rare: stability, presence, emotional control. And these are traits that only a small number of men ever truly develop, usually later in life. That's why some older men, without trying too hard, seem to create deeper connections than younger men who have everything on paper. Not because they say more, not because they chase harder, but because there is something different about how they carry themselves. Something calm, something certain, something grounded. And women feel that difference instantly. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The tranquility that comes when you stop caring what they say, or think, or do." That kind of inner stillness is not something you fake. It is something you build over time, through discipline, through self-mastery. And when a man reaches that point, he no longer tries to impress. He no longer seeks validation. He simply shows up as he is. And paradoxically, that's when he becomes the most attractive. So what exactly are these traits? What are the things women secretly love, especially in older men, but rarely say out loud? In this video, we'll break down 5 Stoic traits that quietly transform how women see you. Not tricks, not manipulation, but principles rooted in self-control, awareness, and inner strength. And if you truly understand them, you won't just become more attractive, you'll become harder to forget. Let's begin with the first one. Trait number 1, presence and awareness. Most men believe attraction begins with what they say. The right words, the perfect joke, the clever response. But that's not where real connection begins. Because a woman doesn't just listen to your words, she feels your presence. And this is where older men have a quiet advantage. They've lived more. They've experienced more. And if they've learned anything at all, they've learned how to slow down. And that changes everything. Think about how most interactions happen today. Rushed conversations, divided attention, constant need to impress. A man is speaking, but his mind is somewhere else, trying to prove something, trying to be liked, trying to get a reaction. And that tension is felt immediately. But a man with presence does something different. He is fully there. When he listens, he actually listens. When he looks at her, there is no distraction. When he speaks, there is no rush. There is a calmness to him, a kind of stillness that makes the moment feel real. And that feeling is rare. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Be present. Focus on what is in front of you." Simple words, but very few men actually live that way. Because presence requires something most people avoid: letting go of control, letting go of the need to impress, letting go of the constant mental noise, and just being there. When a woman feels that kind of attention, something shifts. She feels seen, not evaluated, not judged, not rushed, just seen. And that creates a level of comfort that words alone can never achieve. This is why small, subtle actions often matter more than anything you say. The way you hold eye contact, the way you pause before responding, the way you remain calm instead of trying to fill every silence. There is no urgency, no pressure, just a quiet confidence that says, I am here, and I'm not going anywhere. And that feeling is powerful. Because most men are trying to take something from the moment. Attention, validation, approval. But a man with presence is not taking, he is creating. Creating space, creating comfort, creating connection. And that is why women remember him. Not because he said something extraordinary, but because of how they felt around him. Calm, safe, understood. And without saying it directly, his presence communicates something deeper. He is not desperate. He is not chasing. He is not trying to prove his worth. He already knows it. And that quiet certainty is where real attraction begins. Because before anything else, before flirting, before chemistry, before desire, there must be presence. And most men never develop it, but those who do stand out without saying a word. And that leads to the second trait that women quietly notice but rarely admit.
Trait 2. Playful confidence. Most men misunderstand flirting. They think it's about saying the right thing, the perfect line, the clever joke, the rehearsed response. But real attraction doesn't come from performance. It comes from energy. And there are two types of men most women encounter. The first tries too hard. He overthinks every word. He seeks approval. He laughs a little too quickly and agrees a little too easily. The second avoids risk completely. He plays it safe, keeps things polite, says nothing wrong, but also nothing memorable. One feels overwhelming. The other feels invisible. But a man with playful confidence moves differently. He doesn't try to impress. He engages, lightly, naturally, without pressure. There is a sense of ease in how he speaks, a relaxed rhythm. He teases, but never disrespects. He challenges, but never forces. It feels like a dance, not a performance. And this is where older men often stand out. They are no longer desperate to be liked. They don't need every interaction to succeed. They're comfortable with silence, comfortable with uncertainty, comfortable with themselves. And that comfort creates freedom. The freedom to joke without fear, the freedom to say less, the freedom to walk away from the need for approval. Seneca once wrote, "He who is brave is free." And in this context, bravery is simple. It's the willingness to be yourself without constantly adjusting for someone else's reaction. When a man reaches that point, his words begin to carry a different weight, not because they're perfect, but because they're real. He might say something playful like, "So, you think you have good taste? I'm not convinced yet." Not to impress, not to win, but because he enjoys the moment. And that intention changes everything. Because women are not responding to the sentence itself, they are responding to the energy behind it. Calm, grounded, unbothered. There's no neediness in it, no hidden agenda, and that's what makes it attractive. Because most men flirt to get something: attention, validation, approval. But a man with playful confidence flirts for a different reason. He enjoys the interaction. That's it. And paradoxically, that's what makes him more engaging. Because he's not trying to control the outcome. He's present in the experience. And when a woman feels that, she relaxes. She opens up. She becomes more playful herself. Because she is no longer being evaluated. She is simply included in the moment. And without saying it directly, his behavior communicates something powerful. I don't need this to go a certain way. And that removes pressure. It creates space. And in that space, attraction grows naturally. Because confidence is not loud, it's not forced, it doesn't demand attention. It reveals itself quietly in how a man speaks, in how he reacts, in how little he needs to prove. And that's why playful confidence is so rare. Not because it's difficult to understand, but because it requires something deeper, letting go of the need to be validated. And that leads to the third trait, the one that determines whether attraction grows or disappears completely.
Trait number 3, emotional stability. Attraction can begin with presence. It can grow through playfulness, but it is sustained or destroyed by emotional control. Because sooner or later, every interaction is tested. Misunderstandings happen, silence appears, emotions rise, and in those moments, most men reveal who they really are. Some become reactive. They get irritated too quickly. They take things personally. They feel the need to defend themselves. Others become anxious. They overthink every message. They worry about losing her interest. They chase reassurance. And both responses create the same effect, instability. Now here's what many men don't realize. Women are highly sensitive to emotional shifts, not just what you say, but how you react under pressure. Because emotional reactions reveal something deeper than words ever could. They reveal your level of control, or lack of it. A man who is easily triggered feels unpredictable, and unpredictability does not create attraction. It creates tension, but not the kind that builds connection, the kind that creates distance. A Stoic man understands something simple. You cannot control what happens, but you can always control how you respond. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." And that idea becomes very real in relationships. When she's distant, he remains centered. When she's emotional, he does not absorb it. When tension appears, he doesn't rush to fix it. He allows space. He observes. He responds instead of reacting. And that difference is everything. Because calmness under pressure signals strength, not the loud, aggressive kind, but the quiet kind. The kind that says, "I am in control of myself." And when a woman feels that, she feels something deeper than attraction. She feels stability. And stability creates trust, not through promises, but through consistency. The way you respond, the way you carry yourself, the way you don't lose control when things get uncomfortable. Seneca once wrote, "Calmness is the cradle of power." And that power is not about dominating others, it's about mastering yourself. Because the truth is simple. Anyone can appear confident when things are easy, but very few can remain composed when things are uncertain. And those are the moments that define you. A delayed reply, a change in tone, a misunderstanding, small things that trigger big reactions in most people, but not in a man who has done the inner work. He does not chase clarity out of fear. He does not demand reassurance. He does not let temporary emotions dictate permanent behavior. He remains steady, grounded, unmoved. And that steadiness becomes something rare, because in a world full of emotional volatility, a calm man stands out without trying. And without saying it directly, his behavior communicates something powerful. My state does not depend on yours. And that creates a shift in the dynamic, because now he is not reacting to the moment, he is leading it, not through control, but through stability. And that is where real attraction begins to deepen. Because presence may draw her in, playfulness may spark interest, but emotional stability is what makes her stay. And that leads to the fourth trait,
the one most men completely overlook because they're always in a hurry.
Trait number 4, the power of patience. Most men rush. They rush conversations. They rush connection. They rush outcomes, always trying to move things forward, always trying to get somewhere. But in doing so, they destroy the very thing they're trying to build. Because attraction does not grow under pressure. It grows in space. And this is where patience becomes power. A man who is always in a hurry communicates something without realizing it. Neediness. A subtle sense that he wants something now. Attention, validation, results. And that urgency is felt immediately. But a man who is patient moves differently. He is not in a hurry to impress, not in a hurry to define things, not in a hurry to force connection. He allows things to unfold naturally. And that creates a completely different experience, because when there's no pressure, there is room for curiosity, room for tension, room for anticipation. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Nature does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished." And that principle applies here more than most men realize. When you slow down, you begin to notice more: her tone, her energy, the subtle shifts in the interaction. You respond with intention instead of reacting out of impulse. And that alone separates you from most men. Because rushing is often a sign of insecurity, a need to lock something in before it disappears. But patience signals the opposite: confidence, certainty, a quiet belief that what is meant to unfold will unfold. And that mindset changes your behavior in subtle but powerful ways. You don't over-text, you don't over-explain, you don't chase every moment of attention. You let silence exist. You let space breathe. And in that space, attraction has room to grow. Because tension is not created by pushing forward. It is created by holding back at the right time. By not saying everything at once. By not revealing everything too quickly. By allowing the connection to build layer by layer. And that is something older men often understand better. They are no longer trying to rush toward an outcome. They are more focused on the experience itself. And that shift makes them feel different, more grounded, more controlled, more intentional. Because they are not chasing the moment, they are shaping it. And without saying it directly, their behavior communicates something powerful. I am not in a hurry. And that removes pressure. It creates calm. It allows the interaction to feel effortless because nothing is being forced. Everything is being allowed. And that's what makes patience so attractive. Not because it's passive, but because it requires control. Control over impulse, control over urgency, control over the need to have everything now. And in a world where most people want everything instantly, a patient man becomes rare, and rarity always increases value. Because presence draws her in, playfulness engages her, stability builds trust, but patience is what allows attraction to deepen over time. And that leads to the 5th trait, the one that quietly determines whether a woman feels truly comfortable with you or not.
Trait number 5, the feeling of safety. Attraction can start with presence. It can grow through playfulness. It can stabilize through emotional control. It can deepen with patience. But there is one element that determines whether a woman truly opens up, and that is safety. Not physical safety, emotional safety. Because no matter how confident, attractive, or successful a man appears, if a woman does not feel safe around him, she will never fully relax. And without that relaxation, There is no real connection. Now, here's where many men get it wrong. They think creating safety means being overly nice, agreeable, passive, avoiding tension at all costs. But that is not safety. That is weakness, and weakness does not create attraction. True safety comes from something much deeper: stability, consistency, control. A man who is grounded in himself, who does not shift based on mood, who does not react unpredictably, who does not create emotional chaos, because unpredictability creates anxiety, but consistency creates trust, and trust is what allows someone to open up. A Stoic man understands this. He does not try to impress through intensity. He creates comfort through presence, through calm energy, through clear boundaries, through controlled behavior. He is not hot and cold, not confusing, not emotionally volatile. He is steady. And that steadiness sends a powerful signal. You are safe here. Not through words, but through behavior. Through how he listens, how he responds, how he handles tension. Epictetus once said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." A man who knows who he is does not create confusion because his actions are aligned, his words match his behavior, his energy remains consistent, and that consistency is what makes him trustworthy. Because people are not drawn to perfection, they're drawn to predictability in character, to someone they can understand, someone they can feel at ease around, and that is rare. Because many men create the opposite experience. They bring intensity without stability, attention without consistency, desire without control, and it leaves women feeling uncertain, not excited, not connected, just unsure. But a man who creates safety does something different. He slows things down. He listens without interrupting. He responds without overreacting. He sets boundaries without aggression. There is a quiet strength in how he moves, a calm certainty that doesn't need to prove itself. And because of that, a woman doesn't feel like she has to protect herself. She doesn't feel judged. She doesn't feel pressured. She doesn't feel confused. She feels at ease. And when a woman feels that, she opens up, emotionally, mentally, even physically, because connection requires vulnerability, and vulnerability only happens in an environment that feels safe. And without saying it directly, his presence communicates something deeper. You can relax around me. And that feeling is far more powerful than attraction alone, because attraction may draw someone in, but safety is what makes them stay.
The Stoic conclusion. What makes a man unforgettable? Most men spend their lives trying to become more attractive. They focus on what to say, what to do, how to impress. But they overlook something far more important: who they are when no one is watching. Because in the end, attraction is not built on techniques. It is built on traits: presence, playfulness, emotional stability, patience, and the ability to create safety. These are not tricks. They are reflections of self-mastery. And that is why older men often have an advantage. Not because of age itself, but because of what age can teach, if a man is willing to learn. Discipline, control, awareness, the ability to stand firm in who he is without needing constant validation. Seneca once wrote, "Nothing is more honorable than a grateful heart." But there is another truth hidden beneath Stoic philosophy. The man who is at peace with himself becomes different. He does not chase. He does not force. He does not depend on outcomes. And because of that, his presence feels rare, grounded, certain, unshaken. And that is what women notice.
Not immediately, but over time. Because real attraction is not loud. It is subtle. It builds slowly, and it lasts. So instead of asking, how do I attract her? Ask something better. Who do I need to become? Because the answer to that question changes everything. Thank you for watching Stoic Wisdom today. If this message resonated with you, write Stoic in the comments. And if you want more insights on discipline, mindset, and modern Stoicism, subscribe to Stoic Wisdom today. Until next time, stay calm, stay grounded, and stay in control.